when you learn how to display and demonstrate significant value through words, how to frame that conversation so the client sees and feels that you and your company are going to offer them a much better value. Welcome to the Sales Made Simple podcast. This podcast is dedicated to helping overwhelmed outdoor living professionals, landscapers, and hardscapers just like you increase your closing rate to over 75% without doubling your workload so you can build a seven-figure business that doesn't need you. I'm your host, Joshua Gillow. Let's dig in. Good morning, America. Hey, today, I'm going to go into one of the biggest complaints I hear from contractors when they call in. One of the biggest complaints that they have is that they go out and they meet with customers and the customer has no way of differentiating the difference between them and the two other guys that came out and gave them a quote for the same job. Sound familiar? Going out there constantly working, trying to get new work, especially in the springtime, right? You're out there pounding the ground, constantly chasing as many leads as you possibly can, hoping some of them lock down and become clients for you. But at the end of it, what you find is you end up in this bidding war where you have multiple people putting a paper proposal in front of a client, and the client looks at it and makes a decision, most likely toward the lower price, right? And you're thinking, man, why do I keep losing all this work? Why am I constantly putting all this time into it? To put together proposals, to put together little designs, whatever it might be, just with my fingers crossed, just praying that I'm actually going to get this project because I got bills to pay. I got equipment that I have loans on. I have payroll. I've got all that to make. It's springtime. It was a long winter, and then all of a sudden, you're putting all these proposals out, which feels good. Get those proposals out, thinking, all right, I got my numbers dialed in. Everything's good. Now all of a sudden, you still find that you're only closing maybe 20 or 30% of them. And you're thinking, man, wait a minute here. Why is that the case? I'm doing the best I can. I know my numbers. There's no way these other guys are cheaper than me. I don't know why I keep getting into this competitive bid situation where clients always pick the cheaper one, right? Isn't that what we all are told? Isn't that what we're always led to believe here in the world of outdoor living, contracting and design, is that they always go for the cheapest price? And you know what? Sometimes they're right. Sometimes clients do that. Some clients are only after the transaction. They're only after exactly what they need, want, and desire at the cheapest price because maybe they're not going to be in their house that long. Maybe it's a 3 to 5 year play and they know it's not going to fall apart. So what do they care? It's the next buyer of the home's problem, not theirs. So what I'm going to share with you today is a little secret, an idea that helps get clients to stick better to your offering. In this concept, it's called the value stack. So if you've never heard of a value stack, the idea of a value stack is to clearly differentiate how your client will get value from your offering, how your business offers more value than anybody else in the market. Even if, here's the best part, even if what you offer is very similar to what others are offering. So let's say paver patio, for instance. You guys do the best paver patios around. You've got the best warranties. Your base is better than anybody's. You compact better. You do permeable. Name the thing. You do it really well. You use the best joint fill. You use the best edging, the best spikes, the best everything on your patios. But your proposals say very simply, oh, we're going to install a 16 by 20 paver patio behind your house with a little seating wall and a fire pit, and then a price, and with very little detail. Now the client looks at that and says, oh, okay, well, let's compare that to what the other two guys said, because most are getting 3 bids. It's very common. They're taught that. Homeowners are taught to do their due diligence. So they get a look at the other 2 bids and they're thinking, well, wait a minute here. They all kind of say the same thing, 16 by 20 patio, same basic paver, same basic joint fill, same basic stuff. Keep in mind, listeners, that clients don't know this industry like we do. They don't know the difference in pavers. They don't know a good one from a bad one. They don't know what good joint fill is. They don't know what a good edging restraint is. They just see a patio. So we have to understand, we always have to come from the perspective of our prospects, and our prospects, our clients, don't understand all the minutia that we do. Sometimes we get a little nerded out by this stuff, right? Certain compaction ratings and the compactor you have and all of this and that and back and forth. And we get all excited about that stuff because we eat, live, and breathe this stuff on a daily basis. But keep in mind that homeowners don't. They don't do this every day. So for them, they're just looking at 3 different proposals. They see 16 by 20 paver patio, same paver. Okay. Sounds good. Maybe there's a difference in a warranty or a guarantee, but to a client, that's great. But the problem is they don't know if you're going to be in business in 5 to 10 years. So what good is a big, long warranty? So they look at it and they give, with that scenario, none of the companies have given the client any discernible difference between 1, 2, or 3. They all said 16 by 20 patios. Now, if you want to step up your game and you want to increase your value to your client without having to spend more money on new equipment or new advertising or anything, you can do this for free. It's called a value stack. It's when you figure out how to, or you learn is probably a better word, when you learn how to display and demonstrate significant value through words, how to frame that conversation so the client sees and feels, this is a significant word here, is feels, that you and your company are going to offer them a much better value, not price now, a better value for their investment, which normally means your price, or it could mean that your price is higher than others. And that's totally cool. If the client can see a discernible value increase in what you're offering them. So back to the scenario, a simple way to do that is to go into your proposals and make sure you're listing out all the details of what the project includes. So think about it. If you're in a situation where 2 other contractors come in and said 16 by 20 paver patio with this paver, installed this way, done, and it's maybe, paragraph long max, and you come in with something much more detailed, the client will immediately feel like they're getting more value from you, even if the other 2 proposals include exactly the same thing, but they just didn't list it. So you'll hear me say this 1,000 times, but you'll hear me say it 1,000 more times. Work with less clients and take more time with each one. We're building relationships, not just a stream of revenue from each and every client. The more time you take with each client, you spend time on that proposal, getting those details right. That small detail right there could increase your closing rate by 5, maybe 10%, just by changing how you send out proposals, how detailed they are. Now, there's levels to this concept of value stacking. In our sales mastery program, we teach value stacking very deeply and how to do that from the very first phone call. So you're setting expectations and building value for your company and showing a discernible difference between you and everybody else they're working with or considering to be working with or interviewing for the project. It gives you a leg up from the very beginning, from the first phone call through the discovery process, all the way into that initial meeting and beyond. It sets the tone for everything. When a client reaches out to you and they feel something different about your company, and you can then deliver on those expectations that you've set from the very first phone call, think about how that client feels. Again, we're still in feeling. 80% of this decision is going to be emotional. If they don't feel it in their gut that you're the right fit, I don't care if you're the cheapest price. You may not even get the project. We found over the years, and I've seen this from hundreds of different outdoor living companies across the country, that the better you're able to articulate your value to the market, specifically in your sales process and your sales cycle, the better chance you have at closing a project, building a relationship, and starting a referral machine from that client. But that needs to be done very purposefully and very in an organized way. It can't be something you just kind of throw in there. So to my original point, if you were to just increase the amount of description you have in your proposals, you can do that, and that's a simple lift. But if you want to take it from 20, 30% to 40, 50, 60% or more in your closing rate, you will need to systemize what you're doing so you can get consistent results each and every time you meet with a client. And this system will automatically bake in, at least our sales mastery process does, bake in all of these value stacks from the very beginning. So that client knows when they talk to you on the phone, they talk to your team on the phone, they already know there's something different about these guys. And that's something different. I have a feeling I'm probably going to pay a little more for it, but I'm okay with that because I feel that they're going to take care of some issues and problems that I'm really, this is client thinking, of course, thinking deep down, even subconsciously, some of the problems that they might run into with a project, and they're not even aware of them yet, right? They're not even aware of these problems that might come up. And these guys are already telling me through their value stack that I don't have to worry about all that stuff. Things like going over budget, things like what a design fee might look like. So many times contractors like to surprise clients with that stuff, specifically around design fees. A lot of them are just scared to have that conversation on the phone. They're afraid they're going to get rejected by a customer, or a customer is going to tell them no, especially in the springtime when we're trying to fill our books, fill our pipeline. So it's just easier to run out and be like, all right, well, if it doesn't need a design, I'll just bring it up on site. And the next thing you know, you're out there, everything's going really well with your customer. And you say, okay, well, to get started on this project, it's going to cost us 500, 1,000, 5,000, whatever it is, doesn't matter, for the design. And your clients just change. You see the fear go into their eyes. They just don't know what to do next. They didn't even know you were going to charge for the design. And then all of a sudden you're like, oh crap. Don't they just know that? Of course I'm not going to design for free. That's crazy talk. Why would I spend all the time it takes to do a really good detailed design for a client, all when I don't know what they're actually going to, if they're going to hire me or not? Why would I do that? That's what you're thinking. But for them, they're thinking, well, I didn't expect that. It's all about expectations, listeners. If we can set those expectations early in the relationship, everything goes smoother. You've heard me talk about the idea that objections that come up during a sales cycle, specifically when it comes to price or it comes to time frame, I got to talk to my cat, or I got to talk to my wife, I got to talk to that. All of those things are objections that started way earlier than when they actually happen. They don't just pop up in the moment. That uncertainty has been brewing in that customer since day one. And if we don't hit that early, if we don't address those things early, we're just planting time bombs waiting to go off in our sales process, which eventually means the project doesn't go through. And that's why our industry has such a low close rate. When we start thinking like professionals, we start thinking, okay, well, if we get objections about the time we present the proposal, where back in our sales system can we start setting expectations for that proposal and its cost and budget and cost of the design and all those things? When can we set those? Is it better to do that after the design's been done and we're ready to go to present the proposal, and then all of a sudden all these prices come out, and then we've got a client who's overwhelmed, and a client that's overwhelmed is never in a good position to make a good decision. They're probably going to just clam up and shut down, right? Or do we start that conversation way, way back when we first phone call and work through our discovery process, setting expectations of what design's going to cost, what the project is going to cost, what timelines look like, all of that stuff before we ever meet with them at their home. That's the trick, guys. That's the trick in all of this, because if you want to build a relationship, it's all about setting expectations. Think about it in your personal relationships. If somebody can't expect you to show up on time, or if you're always not following through on your word, if you're not somebody who's trustworthy, or if you're not somebody who is good at shutting the lights off in the house when your spouse says, always shut the lights off, then they just kind of expect that you're not going to do it. The expectation is not positive for you. But if you guys sit down and talk about what that looks like ahead of time, set some framework for what that looks like, everything is smoother. Your entire process is smoother. And then you can, a lot of people call and it's like, look, I'm a really busy person. I'm running a company. I'm out there in the field constantly. I don't know exactly how I'm going to find time to learn how to do stuff like this, to learn a sales process. I don't understand how people are doing it. I'm barely able to find time for my kids. And the reason that happens in our industry is because we are yes men and women. We just say yes to clients and we run out to look at their projects. And again, industry average 20 to 30% in closing rate. That means that 70 to 80% of those leads that you chase will not become clients. And that is a huge, massive underscore waste of time. So that time that you're gaining back by spending more time with less clients and getting to know them deeper, that can be translated right into your ability to learn how to do this. And at the same time, if you slow it all down, it becomes a lot more fun too. It's not so stressful chasing so many people especially in the springtime. So I come on today to talk about the value stack, because when a value stack is done well, a client will feel like they're getting hundreds of thousands or tens of thousands or millions of dollars worth of value for very little money, hence your proposal. We have to make sure their expectations are high. And when you deliver that proposal, it feels lower to them. And that's what helps them go forward. Now, we teach this intensely in our sales mastery classes so that you can do this. And every company is different. Every value stack is different parts of the country, the way different companies run. So we help you actually handcraft that so that not every company sounds the same. There are a lot of similarities, but it has to be from your verbiage, from your narrative, from your way that you speak, so you can speak into the market. Then that information, that value stack, here's where it gets really cool. That value stack isn't just part of your sales process, that value stack becomes the same narrative that's on the website, the same narrative that's in your proposals, the same narrative that your salespeople, the same narrative that the owner, the same narrative that the crew, they all understand that same narrative. This way your company moves forward, everyone's rowing in the same direction, and they're doing it uniformly. So when Mrs. Jones comes out of the house and asks a question, everybody's in the know. You don't have one guy saying, yeah, we can take care of that. And the next guy's like, no, we need a change order. And the next guy's like, well, they don't even know how change orders work because we never talked about it. These are all things that are part of that bigger conversation. So anyone out there listening, if you're thinking, man, I'd love to be able to have my company stand out without having to spend a ton more money on new equipment or new advertising or new anything. This concept is what we call evergreen, which means once you get it in place, it lasts and lasts and lasts. Now, like anything else in the market, we've always had to adjust it based on the winds of the economy. But as long as we keep our thumb on the pulse of our clients, and what I mean by that is to understand what they truly need, want, and desire, not what we think they do, by having good conversations, by building those relationships, we can then get a good sense of when that client, consumer sentiment zigs, we have to zig with it. Instead of zagging the wrong way and ended up spending a lot of money on marketing to a message that nobody wants to hear. Because sometimes it's the right message at the wrong time. So if we have our thumb on the pulse of each client as we're working forward, meeting with less clients, but going deeper with them, we can now manage and grow our companies much more purposeful. And the way we do that and differentiate is through a great value stack. So that client looks at your proposal, they look at your company when they're making their decision and say, you know what, they're more money. They're 10 or 20% higher, but man, they're going to take care of everything for me. And here's the cool part, guys. I'll say it again. The other two companies can be doing exactly what you're doing, but they're not talking about it. They're not bringing it up. They're not demonstrating that to the customer. And the customer does not consider that when they're making a decision because they don't know. Company B and company C never talked about it, but your company did. And now you, for 10, 20, 30% higher, get the job. Such a powerful concept. It's called value stack. So if you want to learn about how to create a value stack for your company and how to get a sales system in place to set expectations early in your process so you don't have to deal with those crazy objections of, I got to think about it, that's too much money, or I can't believe that's how much a backyard costs, this is ridiculous, reach out to me. Book a call. It's in the show notes. Book a call with me. We'll talk through the structure you have in place now, how it can be improved, and to show you how a proper sales system put in place and run each and every day is going to make your job so much better. You'll be so much more effective out there in the market. And you know what? With a great value stack in place, the whole thing becomes more fun. So guys, book a call. Let's chat. Let's get this behind you so you can grow your business and serve more people.